Hey friends, it's Jill. Today I'm giving you a blueprint for making toddler meals. Yep, the foods you should be including in your toddler's meals and how to balance them at mealtime so it's easy, convenient, and nutritious. Don't forget to check out my course below, the Nourish Child Blueprint. It will help you nourish your child well so they have a healthy future. Did you know that many toddlers do not get the amount of fruit, vegetables, and iron-rich foods they need to be eating every single day? This is true according to the Feeding Infants and Toddlers study, also called FITS. So when your toddler is not eating the foods they're supposed to be eating, many parents can get stressed out about this. They get stressed out about their toddler's diet. This puts pressure on them to create healthy meals that look good and taste good. And I know we've talked a lot about picky eating on this channel. If you have a toddler, go to my playlist on toddlers and you will find a slew of videos about picky eating and some really positive actions you can take to help your toddler get through that phase. But today, I'm going to give you the ideal balance you can use to incorporate into every meal so your toddler has a healthy and balanced plate. So first, what foods should toddlers eat every day? We're going to break this down into categories. And I have 6 main food categories you should be paying attention to. Number 1, the protein category. So this is a category of foods that are rich in protein. So we're talking about lean cuts of beef. We're talking about poultry, eggs, beans. So there's several foods that are great sources of protein. This is something that your child should be getting at every meal during the day. Protein helps with overall growth of your toddler, infant, child, and teenager, but it is particularly associated with what we call linear growth or height. The second category of food is fruit. Now, fruit is going to be full of fiber and vitamin C, and it is also going to help your child have a strong immune system, but it will also help them prevent constipation. It will help them be regular. The third group is vegetables. Again, these foods are rich in fiber, just like fruit. But they also contain a good source of vitamin A, and there are other nutrients that vegetables contain as well. Again, these nutrients are going to help your child be regular with their bowel movements and also have a strong and robust immune system. The fourth group are grains. Grains are foods that are made from like wheat or rice, barley. These grains, most of the time, should be whole grains, meaning that they haven't taken the hull and the fiber out of the grain. These foods, whole grains, are full of fiber and B vitamins. B vitamins help the metabolism go. That's the engine in our bodies that burn calories and do all the jobs that need to be done with inside our bodies. And the fiber in whole grains helps your child, again, with regularity and helps prevent constipation. The fifth food category is dairy. So things like cow's milk, yogurt, cheese, cottage cheese. These foods are rich in calcium and vitamin D and protein. So dairy is also a good source of protein for toddlers. Now, we know that bone health is super important, and in the first 20 years of life, children are building their bone density, so how thick and dense those bones are, but they're also building bone strength. And this strength and density that they build in the first 20 years of life is going to last them for the rest of their lives. So we want to make sure that calcium and vitamin D sources in the diet are being provided to toddlers. Again, we also know that weaker bones, otherwise known as osteopenia, means low bone density or weak bones, is something that is of concern in children today. So we want to make sure that dairy is part of their plate also. Now, if you're not a family that does dairy, that's okay. What you need to be looking for is a non-dairy substitute or a milk alternative that is also going to be a good source of protein, calcium, and vitamin D. So I have a whole video on milk alternatives and what I think as a pediatric registered dietitian are the good choices, especially if your child is a toddler, when we know that there's a lot going on with their immune status being built, their brain development, their bone development, and their overall growth. So nutrients really matter during this time of life. The last group or last category of foods are what we call fats and oils. Now we want to lean towards healthy fats, so fats that come from plant foods, rather than fats that come from animal foods. So when we talk about animal food fats, we're really talking about saturated fats like butter, for example. When we talk about plant fats, we're talking about olive oil or avocados or vegetable oil. Again, these fats are important for young infants and toddlers because of the brain development that's happening. So those are the 6 categories: protein, fruit, vegetable, whole grains, dairy, and fats. These are the foods we want to be getting on the plate during the course of the day. So here's a hot tip. At mealtime, 3 meals a day, offer most of these food categories at each meal. So again, a protein source, fruits or vegetables, ideally both of them, grains, most of the time those would be whole grains, not refined grains like white bread or white pasta. Those aren't bad, but we don't want to have those all the time. We want to be offering our children whole grains most of the time. Dairy or a non-dairy substitute, and fat. If it is not already contained in the food, we can add it to food. And one of the things that really works with young children is using a healthy fat like oil on or in vegetable preparation. Makes them taste a little bit better. So how do we build a balanced plate? So I want you to envision a plate, and I'm going to show you, refer to this icon that you can see while I'm instructing this for you. Think of a plate and you're going to divide it into 4 sections. So like 4 pieces of pie. One of those sections, or a quarter of the plate, will be your protein foods. Another quarter of the plate will be grain foods. And half of the plate, so the rest of the plate, will be fruit and vegetables. So produce or fruits and vegetables on half the plate, protein on a quarter, grains on a quarter, and milk or your dairy substitute on the side. That's how you can build a balanced plate for your toddler. Why is it so important to build a balanced plate? When we include all of these food categories, we are getting closer and closer to the 40 different nutrients young children need every day to grow well and to be healthy. So rotating different foods within these categories, for example, the protein category, you might have eggs for breakfast, you might have turkey for lunch, and for dinner you might have canned tuna. So rotating the different types of protein, rotating different types of fruit. Breakfast, it might be a banana. Lunch, it might be grapes. Dinner, it might be clementines. So you get the idea. Each of these food categories, we want to see them on the plate at mealtimes, and we want to rotate them as makes sense for your budget and your access and your child's preferences. Now, let's go through a few tips to keep meals successful for you and for your toddler. Small plates. I can't state this enough. When we're working or feeding young children, we want to use small plates. So for many children under the age of 8 or 9, we're really focusing on a salad plate that is the size of a plate for a young child. When a child is 9 or 10 or older, we can use a full dinner plate. So again, when we shrink the size of the plate, it gets the portion size into the right area for a smaller, younger child. Use small portions. Well, this becomes a lot easier when you use a smaller plate because you're still going to divide the plate into 4 equal sections. So you can always give more food, but to start out with smaller portions is a good idea, especially for toddlers, because they can always ask for more if they want more. But when we start out with big plates and big portions, we can overwhelm young children, and that can turn them off from eating. So start small. You can always offer more. Vegetables. I know some of you are hearing, ooh, a quarter of the plate has to be vegetables. My child won't eat vegetables. I have a few videos on that topic, so make sure you go check it out. But your job is still to expose your child to vegetables. It doesn't mean that you have to make a different vegetable every night. Your child should just be eating the vegetables that you're eating. And again, small portions showing up on the plate really does help children get used to those vegetables, become more familiar with them, and eventually taste them and possibly even learn to like them. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to give up on vegetables, but if you do have a child who's not eating any vegetables at all, you can always make half of that plate all fruit. So you don't have to get in the battle of the vegetables every single night. You can be flexible. Some nights it can be a quarter of the plate vegetables and a quarter of the plate fruit. Other nights it can be all fruit. Other nights, if you have a child that likes vegetables, it can be all vegetables. So there's flexibility here. The bottom line is keep vegetables coming, keep them showing up. That's the only way you're going to move the needle. Last, if you have a toddler who loves their milk, bring it to the table towards the end of the meal. Sometimes when we put milk on the table at the same time with all the other food, our toddlers start drinking the milk and their bellies fill up fast and they don't eat the solid food. So just bring the milk maybe halfway through the meal so they get a head start with eating real food before they move on to their drinks. So this whole blueprint approach where you're going to take your small plate, you're going to divide it into 4 categories: protein, grains, fruit, vegetable, milk on the side. This is just a blueprint. It's a framework that you can use to sort of mentally help you prepare meals and make the whole process so much easier. When you include these 5 categories rather, you will be able to hit all those important nutrients your child needs at this stage of life. So this can help you create a balanced plate for your toddler, and it makes mealtime easier for you. You don't have to worry about missing any nutrients because when you include all of these food categories, you really do cover the 40 different nutrients toddlers need each day. Again, I have a parent program that walks you through all of this. It helps you target the most important nutrients for your toddler and your child, and helps you identify the foods for each of these nutrient groups. It's called the Nourished Child Blueprint. You can check it out below. And again, if you want to go deeper on nutrition for toddlers and kids, hang out with me here. I'm all about helping you nourish and nurture your toddler and child, no matter their age. So share this with someone you care about and check out the next video. I'll see you next time.